There's a quiet assumption most middle-class households live with. It isn't spoken out loud, it isn't written into a contract, but it shapes almost every decision. The assumption is this: if you earn well, and you spend responsibly, and you invest consistently, eventually things will feel secure. And yet, for many intelligent, disciplined people across the United States and Europe, that feeling never quite arrives. The salary increases, the apartment becomes a house, the car becomes newer, retirement accounts slowly grow, but the underlying tension remains. Because income is still tied to effort, security is still tied to employment, and lifestyle is still tied to continuity. If work stops, the system pauses, no matter how responsible someone has been. There is a difference between earning well and building something that earns without you. That difference doesn't come from luck, and it doesn't come from extreme frugality. It comes from three decisions that most people delay for years, not because they're reckless, but because the system around them makes those decisions easy to postpone. To understand how that happens, we'll follow one household. Not a billionaire, not an entrepreneur with a viral startup, just a normal, thoughtful family doing almost everything right. And we'll look at how three financial decisions, quiet, boring, often overlooked, are what eventually unlock something that looks very different from a paycheck. Not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually and calmly. Jojo and Elena are both in their mid-30s. They live outside a major U.S. metro area. Not New York or San Francisco, but a growing city where housing is expensive enough to feel serious, yet still considered affordable by coastal standards. Together, they earn about $165,000 before taxes. After federal, state, Social Security, Medicare, and health insurance deductions, they take home roughly $9,200 per month. It feels like a good income. Their mortgage on a modest three-bedroom home is $2,450 per month. Property taxes and insurance add another $650. Utilities average $350. Internet and phones, $180. They have two cars. One is paid off. The other carries a $540 monthly payment. Auto insurance for both, $210. Student loans for Elena, $390 per month. Groceries for a household of four, about $900. Childcare and after-school activities, $1,200. Streaming subscriptions, software, music platforms, $140. Dining out, occasional travel, birthday gifts, weddings, home repairs, these fluctuate but average around $800 monthly across the year. When everything is tallied, they're left with maybe $1,000 to $1,500 that can be invested, saved, or absorbed by surprise expenses. They contribute to their 401ks through work. They invest in broad market index funds. They carry no credit card debt. From the outside, this is financial competence. And yet, when Jojo checks his investment account at night, there's a quiet realization. At their current pace, they'll build a respectable retirement. But the idea of income that isn't tied to employment, income that arrives whether or not they log into work, still feels distant. They are not overspending. They are not careless. They are simply participating in a system designed around consumption first, accumulation second. The pattern is subtle. Income rises, housing expands to match, transportation adjusts, child-related expenses grow, lifestyle calibrates upward just enough to feel appropriate. Nothing feels extravagant, but very little is structurally designed to create large, independent cash flow. Because the system most households are placed into is optimized for earning and spending, not for building assets that produce income. Jojo and Elena are investing for retirement. That's responsible. But retirement accounts are locked behind age thresholds and tax rules. They are long-term wealth builders, not present-day income generators. The subtle pattern most people miss is that there's a difference between growing net worth and building cash-flowing assets. Both matter, but they behave differently. A 401k growing quietly for 30 years builds future security, but it does not produce current usable income. Meanwhile, mortgages, car payments, and subscriptions extract current income every month. The design is asymmetric. Consumption is immediate and visible. Asset income is delayed and invisible. And when raises come, the path of least resistance is lifestyle expansion, not asset acquisition. Not because people lack discipline, because the structure nudges them. A new car feels tangible. An investment property feels complicated. Starting a small business feels risky. Buying dividend-producing assets feels abstract. So the decision to prioritize income-producing assets is postponed. 5 years pass, then 10. The opportunity cost is rarely dramatic. It's quiet. Let's look at simple math. If Jojo and Elena consistently invest $1,200 per month into broad market index funds, earning an average of 7% annually, after 10 years they might accumulate roughly $207,000. That's meaningful, but at a 4% withdrawal rate, that portfolio would generate about $8,000 per year in income, before taxes. After 10 years of disciplined investing, that's about $667 per month. It's progress, but it doesn't replace even one mortgage payment. Now imagine an alternative allocation, not instead of investing, but alongside it. Suppose early on they directed $1,200 monthly toward acquiring cash-flowing assets, perhaps rental properties, dividend-focused portfolios, or ownership stakes in small businesses. If that capital were structured to yield 8% in annual cash flow, not total return, just income, after 10 years on roughly the same accumulated principal, they might generate $16,000 annually, about $1,333 per month. Still not life-changing, but now covering a car payment and utilities. Extend that to 20 years. Compounding and reinvestment begin accelerating income. At roughly $600,000 in income-producing assets yielding 8%, annual cash flow becomes $48,000. That's $4,000 per month, not dependent on employment. At around $1.25 million in similar assets, annual income approaches $100,000. The number feels large, but broken down monthly over decades, it's simply consistent capital allocation toward income-generating structures. The math isn't magical, it's slow, and it requires 3 early decisions most households delay. Choosing income-producing assets over lifestyle upgrades, separating net worth growth from cash flow growth, and accepting slower visible status in exchange for long-term optionality. Why do intelligent people delay those decisions? Because status normalizes quickly. When Jojo's colleagues upgrade to larger homes, it recalibrates normal. When neighbors drive newer SUVs, that becomes baseline. When peers post vacations in Spain or ski trips in Austria, it subtly shifts internal benchmarks. Human psychology evolved around tribe comparison. In modern economies, the tribe is digital and global. The pressure isn't aggressive, it's ambient. And lifestyle becomes identity. The house signals stability. The car signals competence. Travel signals success. Redirecting capital toward invisible assets offers no immediate social feedback. No one sees a dividend statement. No one compliments a brokerage balance. And so even disciplined investors focus on retirement accounts, socially validated, employer-supported, easy to automate. Meanwhile, asset income remains abstract. Smart people don't fall into this because they're careless. They fall into it because the system rewards visible consumption today more clearly than invisible income tomorrow. If nothing changes, the consequences aren't catastrophic. Jojo and Elena won't go bankrupt. They'll likely retire with adequate savings, but optionality will remain narrow. If one of them loses a job, pressure increases immediately. If a parent needs care, decisions become constrained by income needs. If burnout sets in, there's little financial cushion to step away without disrupting the household. Life remains stable, but dependent. Income must continue, and that dependency subtly shapes career choices, stress levels, and risk tolerance. Contrast that with households that think differently. Financially calm people frame money around margin. They prioritize surplus. They think in terms of optionality. They ask not how much can we afford, but how much dependency does this create? They see time as the most valuable asset, and they understand that income not tied to their hours reduces risk. Not dramatically, but steadily. They still invest in retirement accounts, they still live comfortably, but early on they make three decisions. They prioritize acquiring assets that pay them. They separate growth from income in their planning, and they measure success by decreasing dependency, not increasing lifestyle. Over decades, that difference compounds. A $100,000 annual passive income isn't created by intensity, it's created by structure, slow capital allocation, reinvestment, and time. This isn't financial advice, it's an observation of patterns. Jojo and Elena may choose differently in the future, or they may not. But the difference between earning well and building income-producing assets lies in those early structural decisions. Quiet ones, boring ones, and rarely urgent in the moment. If this helped clarify things, consider subscribing.